Hi. Hi. So hi everybody. Who's ever watching this? I hope you're having a good night, morning, day, wherever you are. Yeah, so this is basically me kind of talking about my crochet journey. Starting my own fashion brand, and also, hopefully giving you tips, and some advice if anyone who's watching wants to start their own fashion brand, who wants to start their own, crochet brand, just a brand in, fiber arts, as a whole. So this is definitely saying it's the video for you. Um, my brand doesn't have like a really big platform, so I will say I am still a small brand owner. I'm still a small brand owner. Um, I started my brand sometime in 2022. I am currently 20 years old. I started the brand. Well, really, I started it when I was 16. I'll get a little bit into that, but it really started to peak a little bit once I turned 17, because that's when I was kind of developing more into my crochet skills and everything. But before getting into crochet, I actually started with knitting. And when I was 9 years old, I was taught how to knit. And basically, oh, yeah, so yeah, at that age, I was taught how to knit. And I remember creating my first scarf at 9 years old, which was pretty cool. And looking back, very impressive because that's how it kind of started for me getting into yeah, so I started the brand in 2022. Um, yeah, when I was 9 years old, that's when I started to get into fiber arts. Um, I got a little bit more into sewing as well, mainly hand sewing. My aunt, she had gifted me like this mini hand sewing machine, and it wasn't like those like a regular sewing machine, but it's like miniature. It was just more so like I think it was like a Singer, but it was just like it only had like, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll put a photo here so you can see. But yeah, that was basically I was gifted, and I was also gifted like I think like packs of like fiber, not fiber, but like fabrics as well, like just like small packs of like fabric and everything. So I would experiment with those fabrics, and I remember this one time where I had made like a skirt, like a mini skirt for like one of my Barbie dolls, but I was using the I think the Singer machine, the little mini machine thing for the skirt. And I think I also had hand sewn a little bit of the skirt as well at the same time too. So I have experience with both the miniature sewing machine and also with hand sewing as well, but I'm more so comfortable with hand sewing when it comes to fabrics. Still trying to get into the sewing machine. I'll definitely like to start like crafting stuff and making stuff like saying like leggings or like pants and stuff and everything. But I've definitely done like a lot of designs with just hand sewing itself. So yeah, it's definitely hard, but it's definitely worth it. We just have to build up on like patience and everything. But yeah, but basically, um, kind of going fast forward into the future a little bit now, from 9 years old to at 16. That's when I was like getting back into crocheting. Like I think it was actually, yeah, on my 16th birthday, I had bought yarn, and basically with that yarn I was crocheting. I had made like a orange scarf, and that's when I started to get to like now getting into business moves and whatnot. And I think I had created a page just to like kind of show off my like fiber work at first, but then I was like, okay, had the attention to like sell a couple of things too. So I started with just the orange scarf, and that's when I also discovered Depop, and I started getting into Depop as well. So that was my first like shop platform when it came to expanding my business a little bit. So using Depop, I had posted it, of course, on my not only on my Instagram, but then also on Depop as well. So I had created, of course, like a separate page just for that, showing my fiber work and selling it, but then also had the Depop as well. So I was using both of those platforms for my brand. And I know there's other like shop platforms you can use other than like Depop. There's also Etsy, there's also like Shopify as well. So there's different ones, to kind of look out for. But at that moment, I was just using Depop. But I have expanded to other platforms too. But at that moment, I was using Depop. Yeah, so going into Depop, of course, and I have my phone in my hand right now just to kind of look back on like what I was creating. So on my crochet page, it's called Tati's thread, and I also speak about the process on like creating the business as well as a whole, because I'm not sure what it was originally named. I think yes, it was originally named Tati's thread, but it was gonna be originally for selling um like knitted, like kind of braided bracelets and stuff. I'll talk about it, where I had started, getting back into the crocheting. I had started, in 2021. I had started, like, of course, like, again, with back with the knitting and stuff. So in 2021, when it came to knitting, other than the scarf that I made, I started making like miniature pouches and like mini bags. And I made like a whole like set, like a charm set, basically like a charm collection of like things I was making. And another platform I went on to sell these things was also Poshmark as well. Um, I feel like Poshmark was more so, I think, targeted more so, I don't know, maybe for like reselling clothes other than selling clothes that you make. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it was so I don't know if it was the right platform to use, but it was definitely an experience. So I did not only was I using Depop, but I was also using Poshmark at that moment. So yeah, so just kind of looking back on my Instagram and everything and seeing like everything that I did, which is it's a bit nostalgic, but um, seeing I was basically I had I think bought like these charm accessories on Amazon, and I had was making like these bracelets out of yarn, but it was like these braided bracelets. So I was making them, and like I would add those charm accessories with it as well. So I'll show a couple of photos too. But I would make these like bracelets with it. I'll make like handbags, like small handbags. I'll make like pouches and stuff. So I had like pretty much a lot of things, a lot of material to like kind of post out there and show. Um, yeah, so it was kind of just basically the start of that, and then like starting my brand. Actually, it wasn't called Tati's Thread at first. It was actually called Threaded by Tatiana. So when it came to Threaded by Tatiana, basically, I had put a what is it, a bio, little bio, and I'll show it here too. I put a bio saying like I never thought in a million years I would be able to create such fine crafts within my palms, starting from knitting, sewing, and jewelry crafting. So originally this brand started off on jewelry crafting, and then just got more into like actual like physical clothing and stuff and like accessories. But I started with jewelry crafting. So yeah, I started, again, like I said, these activities at a young age. Like I said, being taught how to knit at 9 years old, and then going into sewing by hand, and then working on a sewing machine. And so now that was kind of basically the bio a bit. And I then got on, learning a little bit more about like being a business owner and like starting a business. So I had, posted about customs, and I know how in some businesses they would talk about, oh, if you want to custom this or custom that, you can look through here, choose what you want, and whatever details you want on this design or whichever one. So that's what I kind of started when I was still working with my jewelry stuff. So I have basically, of course, like posted like a couple of like custom posts, like I say, like, oh, if you want a custom bracelet, here, let me know what length and size you want, or a custom necklace, what type of charms and whatnot. So basically I was getting into that, which is good, to you know kind of bring out details and whatnot, like to give, I guess, the customer what they want, and and let them know like they have options, like a lot of options. So yeah, and basically it kind of started like, I think, publicly showing my whole charm thing. It started like with the whole jewelry crafting and stuff. It actually started when back in high school, when I was part of the SGA, the Student Government Association. we were doing like, I think it was like not the beginning of school, like the first week of school, but it was like it was still in August, but in late August. But it was just like, I guess to like a bit of an orientation, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it was a bit of a like a orientation, and so at that orientation, I was like, I think I was kind of helping out with like, okay, like what are some things we can do to, I guess, like have people join SGA or kind of have them be interested and whatnot. And so that's when I decided to like have a table laid out with like a bunch of like bracelets I've made and stuff like that. And basically, of course, like people were kind of, and that's the thing, like learning also how to be like a vendor and stuff and how to actually sell to actual people instead of online. And that's, I think, one of the biggest lessons also when it comes to having a business. Learn the difference between selling online and then selling in person. I'll get into selling in person a little bit more later, but I will say I am comfortable with both. I'm still learning a bit more when it comes to selling in person, but definitely selling online is like where I'm comfortable with that, but still like learning a bit more. Um, but yeah, so there were some people, kind of like passing by our table, just kind of looking at the stuff and everything. But then there was someone who was interested in buying a bracelet. And that's where I kind of again learned with like, okay, now we're also getting into finances as well, because I wasn't like charging them or anything, because again it was just like a handcrafted bracelet. And like of course down the line I start to learn more about like um, what price is actually reasonable when it comes to a couple of things. So but now it's just like I'm just starting, this is just a startup. So now I only charge like $5, and now I'm learning more about also about like payment methods. So I think I had posted in one of my highlights when starting the brand, it was like my, I think like payment methods were like Cash App and then also Venmo. And so basically I think she had like Venmo me, um uh, yeah, she had Venmo me my the $5 to me. And so I was like, oh wow, so like this is like kind of like, this is kind of the start of like again just learning a little bit more about like selling and stuff like that. So yeah, and so, and like I have just a post right here like how I was saying like SGA will be selling bracelets at orientation. And yeah, so basically I had made like 50 bracelets for the orientation, and I'm not sure if it was hard or easy because I was so long ago, but yeah, I had made a bunch of like bracelets for the orientation, which was really fun to do, and I'm glad to sell them. And I also gave some of them away, so it's like none of it gone to waste and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like if something doesn't sell, it's just like sometimes I would just give it to a personal friend or something. So yeah, and this was all in 2021. So again, Tati's thread wasn't really established in 2022. Again, it was just threaded by Tatiana in 2021. So yeah, yeah, basically. And yeah, I was just getting into pouches and stuff like that. But again, this was all on knitting. It was no crochet yet. It was all knitting. Now getting into crochet, and this is where Tati's thread really peaked. So getting into crochet, I think it was like the summer of 2022. I started to learn how to crochet because I think I had bought a hook and I had some yarn with me. And this was like on my first try. And I look back and I'm like, I like start to think, how did I get so good at it? Because at first when I was crocheting, it was just like, okay, I'm learning with like chains and stuff. So I'm like learning how to do a single chain and whatnot. And the first thing I wanted to create was like a crop top, just like a top basically. And I don't think I ever finished it. I think it was just more so for practice. But then I kind of stopped on crochet a little bit, but I didn't pick back up on it until like I'll say maybe before the new year. So I'll say maybe like around the fall time, because I had bought an actual crochet kit. And so I think in that kit, and I actually still have the kit till this day, but in that kit, I think I was given a new hook, so I got a different hook. So because the hook I had was like like those metal ones, but it's like I don't know, maybe it was like too tight for the yarn I was using. So it's like as I'm learning also along the way, like working with different materials and what materials work best with this tool or that tool. So that's also very important to keep in mind too. Um, but yeah, so now I'm making also pouches again for what is it? Just with the kit, you know. So I'm making pouches again with the kit. And so I really started getting into doing designs and doing like small stuff. Like I think I remember I had made these pants, and this is also was had some hand sewing involved. I had made these pants, but basically what I did was I crocheted like these stars, and I had ended up like, yeah, basically I had made these stars, I had crocheted these stars, and what I did was I had sewed them into these pair of pants. I gave it away to somebody, but I had sewn them into a pair of pants, and it was a very long process, I will say. And like I started around like I think sometime in noon, and then like I ended around like 7 p.m. or something, or like 8 p.m. Again, this was like also during like the winter time, I think ish, when like everything was like starting to like, you know, go dark around like 5 p.m. So like yeah, I actually created this, I think it was before Christmas or maybe after Christmas. But I had made these pair of pants, and luckily like it went successful, and this is when I started to get into crochet. I'm like, okay, like maybe I could get used to this, maybe I could like this again. So I wasn't getting into like creating like jackets yet, or like hats yet, or like, you know, tops yet and stuff like that. So I was still working with the miniature stuff and everything. So crocheting like stars was very new for me, and it wasn't the best star I was making, but at least it was something that I can put on a pair of pants and just kind of call it a day a little bit. And like the what is it, the pink stuff around like the end of like the jeans, and like on top of the jeans as well, which is mainly like chains I was creating as well. I made a whole video about it and I posted it on my TikTok, and this is when I was also starting to get a following a bit when it came to my crochet. So I had posted it on my TikTok, and I had like, it was very well received, I will say. I'm not sure how much views I got, but it was like I think around like a, not, I won't say 1,000, but like around that like kind of 100 range. So I was getting views on that and stuff like that. So it was, I was getting attention on that, and I was like, you know what, maybe I could, like I said, get used to this and maybe get into crochet more and stuff like that. So yeah, so it went from making pouches to like now we can actually incorporate stuff. And I think I have still some have, so she's a little dirty, but because I but this is like the first pouch I made um for from the kit. And I even made another pouch. It was like a gift for one of my teachers, actually. It was like a birthday gift, and I made it for him. And yeah, no, like, so yeah, and that's kind of the start. I don't know if I should do like a little chapter thing, like, okay, now it's like on to the next chapter, but yeah, no. And so now we're actually gonna go into, this is where I started to take crochet a little bit seriously. So basically, um, after the new year, um, I was like currently living in an area where there was like a shopping center nearby, and luckily that shopping center had like a yarn shop. And so it wasn't like where I was living before, where it was just like I had to like go to Michael's, but like it was a drive away, like it wasn't anything walkable, like on Michael's that was walkable or anything. So actually having a yarn shop that's like 6 minutes away by walk, which is like really great, and I was really happy about that. So going to the yarn shop for the first time, I remember just seeing different types of yarn. And again, like going back on the stars I was making, I had went to that, I think, shop for the first time, and I was buying like yarn like made out of fleece. I was buying yarn that was just different sizes as well. So it's like, okay, now we're getting into yarn. And this is where my love for yarn shopping also happened, like also started to come about, because it's like, if I want to be gifted anything, yarn, just yarn, like nothing else, just yarn, like just give me yarn. So this is where my love for yarn shopping happened. And yeah, I was a frequent buyer at the shop. I was a frequent customer, of course. And so like anytime I would go to the shop, of course, like most of the employees will recognize me and stuff like that. But there was this one employee, and she was actually the former owner of that shop. And I think we had talked. I'm not sure how it came about because this is where the exciting part happens. So, and this is where my crochet skills also began to develop a little bit more, because at that shop I had gotten a position to be, I think, actually to be their social media like manager for the shop. And basically, I think they wanted somebody, of course, like who was younger, but to help attract a younger audience to their TikTok, and to bring in, of course, younger people to their shop as well, because they were also holding like crochet like instructions, like crochet classes. Like originally, I think I was going to be placed as a crochet instructor, but then it just went into social media manager, because I have a lot of experience when it comes to social media and marketing as well. So having that position, I was like, whoa, okay. And also getting paid for it, getting paid for something that I love to do, was also awesome as well. So I was just getting paid to post like crochet tutorials on their page. I was getting paid to post, like, getting paid to create like things I was creating with crochet as well. So I was posting a lot of things on their TikTok. And so it was a great opportunity, and it was also a great job as well. It was, I have to say, like my first, like, not to say like corporate job, but it was like my first like big job. Like, it was my first like big girl job, like a real job. So having that was really cool, because the way I built up my resume, and then maybe I'll get into that into another video, but the way I built up my resume, I was basically like doing internships over quarantine, like doing internships, like being a graphic designer for like nonprofit organizations and stuff like that. So I was like creating graphics on like things they needed and things they needed to do. But now having an actual job that like in social media that you can get paid for, so it's basically just again creating content for that page. And like I remember I had gotten a what is it, I had posted a video and it had gotten like 1,000 views on their TikTok page, and like I had shared that around. I was like, whoa, like I don't know if this is really big for them, because I don't know, I think this was actually their first TikTok that has gotten 1,000 views. I could be wrong, but I think it was their first TikTok. So just to be able to help like garner those views and like bring in different audiences and stuff like that was like really cool as well to do as well. So yeah, and then down the line working there, I had also I had also recorded a tutorial with them, and that was pretty cool. Basically, I think I had recorded a tutorial on just basically how to do a chain, and yeah, I think it was one of the also former employees there. He was basically behind the social media as well, but he was like creating content and whatnot for their YouTube. So basically, I did a YouTube video for them, just like creating a tutorial just on how to make a chain and stuff. And I thought that was like, whoa, like, well, it was like my first tutorial video, because I don't think I have ever posted a tutorial video, a crochet tutorial video on YouTube during that time. Or maybe because again, I was mainly posting my own crochet stuff on TikTok. And again, like I said, that's where I was building a following a bit more. So yeah, so that was really amazing. So again, having a job in that really helped bring my confidence more into crochet, and getting more into like, of course, the crochet space, and then like learning more, a little bit more about the business and stuff like that. So now we're kind of getting into, I'll say, like maybe sometime in the springtime. And again, like I said, I'm 17, senior year of high school. So again, we're going through like college applications and whatnot. So I had applied to a couple of schools, and one of the schools had a like modeling organization. It was called Models of Distinction, and it's at Towson University, and which is located in Maryland. And so basically, I had reached out to them. I think I reached out to them one time, or maybe 3 times, to get the opportunity that I was really happy to get at the age of 17. Um, Basically, I had reached out to them, and it was like, I don't think it's on. either email. It's on another email. I could be wrong, but yeah, I have reached out to them for the first time, and I think it was just basically saying, I was telling them like, hey, like, um I shared a couple of like fashion illustrations that I've made a year ago. Again, so this was like 2022. I think I started doing fashion illustration in 2021. So I was also not only learning about a little bit of crochet, but then also like knitting. During that time I was knitting, but then also I was doing like fashion sketches because I was gifted a fashion sketchbook. So I was using that book and I was like making a lot of fashion designs. So basically I had shared a couple of like fashion sketches with them, and I'll probably post like a video of like my fashion sketches all together. But I think there's a couple posted on my pages, also on my TikTok as well. But basically, I had posted my like fashion illustrations that I made, my fashion designs, and I had sent it to them. And I was like, I think I was just saying like, hey, like like I have these fashion illustrations I want to share with you guys. And when I can't remember what I was exactly asking, but I do know they said that they really liked the designs that I make and they appreciated it. But I think it was just not the time right now. So again, that's what I was like, okay, like let me just try to build up a little bit more of a platform. So then I had sent in a second email, and I think that second email, it was either that I got accepted into Towson or I applied. But I did get accepted to the school. But basically, I think I did tell them, and then like I think I had brought up the designs again, but they had said like like, oh, that was really cool and stuff like that. And they said like you know they're thinking about using the designs in one of their shows. They're not sure which show, like where the vision fits in either of the shows, but they're saying like they're thinking about it. So I was like, okay, cool, cool. So then I think the third email was like a confirmation email, and it was like I think I had shared that I was crocheting, and I was making a couple of like crochet stuff, and I'll get into that. So like that opportunity thing was in the springtime. I need to like make a whole timeline, but that was in the springtime around like now we're going into 2023, around like I'll say like January, but like kind of late-ish. No, not even January. I'll say like February, because that's when I had like you know kind of started my position a little bit at the yarn shop where I was living at the time. Um, yeah, shout out to the owner because she's so sweet. I still speak to her to this day. So yeah, but she was my boss, so she was really cool. But yeah, basically around February, I was a part of the Black Student Union. Like I was part of the club, and basically they were working on a fashion show, and I think it was for Black History Month during that time. So for the fashion show, I remember I was like, I wanted to, I guess, create like crochet designs for the fashion show, maybe for like people to like wear or like, um, walk down the runway with. So I was working on a couple of things, and I was working on like, I was making these shrugs, and I had made like these fishnet shrugs. Um, and I was like crocheting those at the time, and I started getting into making like fingerless gloves. So I had made some fingerless gloves as well too. And basically at the fashion show, like everybody was wearing what they wanted to wear, like which is cool and everything. So everybody was wearing what they wanted to wear at the show. So, but I do remember I had gifted one of my shrugs to somebody and someone else too, and I remember someone actually wore what is it, the fingerless gloves I was making, and it was in the show, and then like they were walking down with it. And I think they also wore it during their like I think step performance, because there was also like a step dance performance as well, and she was part of the team too. So I remember the next day, like I didn't even realize that she was wearing it until the next day. I think she came up to me and she was like she was wearing it. I was like, wait, hold on. So like I had posted it on my Instagram. I was like, look at her wearing the glove that I crocheted and everything, and it was just like really cool. But it was just really cool to participate and also contribute to the fashion show. And I think that was my first time kind of like working, you know, um, at a fashion show and stuff like that. So yeah, to kind of just build up that experience, you know, in the fashion realm and stuff. So working at that, um, it was like wow, it was like just very surreal. So because I remember even seeing on my name, I think it was like it was on a piece of paper, and it was like it had said that like said Tatiana Diomi, um, but it was next to the words of like I think it was like, you know, um, I think like not curator, but like just like a very important position, basically meaning that like I was behind not the whole thing, but it was just like if you know what I mean, it was just like whoa, like you know. So I'm really happy about that experience. And at the end of the day, like it was really cool, and just like again, like yeah. So yeah, I'll never forget that. It was just really cool being part of the club and stuff like that. And yeah, so yeah, shout out to everybody again. But yeah, so then going back into the springtime, I had again now I'm just building out my crochet platform. So you know, there's people wearing my stuff, you know, yeah. So yeah. Um I had now started getting into I wouldn't say I was established yet. And I still to say I feel like I'm still not established. And I don't know, you might even say like, you know, like why don't you feel established yet even after having these opportunities? But I don't know, like maybe if there's one opportunity where I feel like I am established, like maybe like if I do a fashion show outside of the US one day with my crochet brand, or if I do something else, maybe I feel like that's where I'm established. But I'm not too sure, but each experience I do have, like everything, like I'm still grateful about that, and like still humble about it too. So it's like never to push it to the side, you know, because it helped me build up my brand and stuff like that. So yeah, so then going back into the springtime, um, getting that third email mentioning that I crochet, um, I think the person said like, you know, like we definitely see your designs in a show that they were doing, and basically the theme was a Caribbean theme. So I'm like, okay, definitely like bikinis, shorts, other stuff, like maybe mini skirts as well, because if it's gonna be a Caribbean theme, like that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay. So I had what is it? Um I had started to learn how to crochet bikinis, and that was the first time I ever learned how to crochet a bikini. And so I was also being also mindful about like the different, you know, cup sizes that all the models were gonna have and stuff like that, because it's like I was learning how to crochet for like I'll say like, you know, C cups and A cups and B cups. So it was like different sizes I was learning how to crochet with. And also I learned how to crochet also an underwear at the same time, like a bikini underwear at the same time. I was like, whoa. So that yeah. So I had what to say, I was crocheting a lot of bikinis and stuff. I was making different sets, I was making different pieces and stuff, and they told me a list on like how many pieces they need and everything. I was like, okay, I got you. So I was like working, and I think it took me 3 weeks working on all this stuff. So yeah, it was like the more I was building my crochet brand, not my brand, my the more I was developing my skills, the more I was like crocheting things a little bit faster. So yeah, it was just I was really locked in. Like I was really locked in. I'm like, okay, this is my first like fashion show like opportunity. Like everything needs to be good. So yeah, so basically, um, when getting there and whatnot, um, I had so now I'm getting into going to the event, the actual event. I was pretty nervous. I had to actually, before even going to the event, stop along the way and like go to Michael's and buy some yarn, just some extra yarn in case I need to crochet a lot of more things as well. So basically, I had what is it? I had just bought some extra yarn and going straight to the event. We're going to Towson University, and we're going. I think it was like I was going to like the ballroom. I think it was. That's where it was being held. So when I went, I had what is it? It was just kind of surreal because it was like okay, like I'm seeing models there. I'm seeing different fashion designers there. Everybody has their own like designs out, and I'm like, okay, like I, I guess I gotta bring out my baddest bitch gonna bring up my designs now. So I brought up my designs, and I think also another lesson I learned is how to work under like fast paced and also very pressured environments, because there's people like, again, like once I think one, not show, but it was like there was like models rotating for each designer. So once they walked down for this designer, then they had to leave, change quickly, and then walk down for this designer too. So it was just like a lot of switching, in and out. So that's when I was like, I also learned how to, like, of course, like when it came to the models, learning like what type of different adjustments they need, because there was some, I think, bikinis that were a bit loose, some that were a bit too tight. So I was like learning, okay, like whatever y'all need, let me know. So it was good that, like, and even one of the models had told me, like it was, I learned how to, like, I guess, like, I didn't crack or anything. I handled myself pretty well under that pressure, and which is really good because, again, like, I know how to work under very fast paced environments sometimes. So it's like, and that's a good thing to also have as well too. But it's just like also remind yourself, like, don't burn yourself out too as well. So yeah, I was doing that. Yeah, so yeah, I was making adjustments. I was just like, tweaking things a little bit. And I remember this is the first time I ever, I think, worked side along with another fashion designer. And he was telling me like he made these wings for the show. And I remember that, I think one of the bikinis I had, I think it was either black, I can't remember, but he said, he had made these rainbow wings, and he wanted to know if I had a bikini that kind of matched up with the wings. Good thing I had went to Michael's beforehand, and I had bought rainbow yarn. Normally I didn't know that that was going to be useful later on in the show, because it was like he had asked if I had anything to match with the wings. I was like, yes, because I have some rainbow yarn with me. So I had ended up making a rainbow bikini, and it just ended up working out like that. So when it came to the actual show, and I think I was backstage, but there was like this big TV like mounted, and you can see everything that's happening. It was a very surreal moment for me. I'm not gonna lie, and I did cry because I was like, well, like the first time I'm ever seeing my designs being walked for and stuff like that. So, and like to have a platform like Models of Distinction, especially at a university, to give me the opportunity to show my crochet designs out to the world. I know world sounds like a exaggeration, but that's how it felt to me at the moment. Because when I was younger, when I was 6 years old, I've always wanted to have my own, fashion brand or be a fashion designer. So having that like dream at 6 years old become true was very different for me. And even how I mentioned before, I was working on like fashion illustrations and stuff like that. Keep in mind, I didn't have a sketchbook when I was younger. So it was actually when I was younger, when I think I was like 9 years old as well. So this, like, everything happened for me at 9 years old when it came to fashion and stuff. I taught myself how to like hand draw and everything, like hand drawn bodies and stuff like that, hand drawn like dresses and stuff like that. So it was like, I'm like self taught, but like just more so I was like watching videos, but then like I kind of catch on, and like I started hand drawing a lot of things. And so that's when I started getting into fashion illustration. So when having my own sketchbook, I was like, okay, like it made things a little bit easier, but I was making a lot of like cool designs and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just a very surreal moment. And I was like, wow, like, whoa. And yeah, I will say that, like, like at the moment, everything did seem perfect. Like, it was, but then also at the same time, like, it was also a lesson as well, because like I was learning again, like, some things weren't gonna fit on every model. So I was learning how to tweak things a little bit, learning how to make adjustments and stuff like that, and just making sure like that the models at the end of the day like stayed comfortable in their designs and stuff like that. But I think, like, again, like this is the first time, so of course it's like not everything is gonna be great, but then also at the same time it's like, like at least you did it, like didn't back out or anything, like you worked really well under pressure and stuff like that. So that I really do give myself like the biggest applause, and doing that at 17 years old was definitely very big for me. So so that was my first fashion show I ever did at 17 years old. And and the way how I looked at it, I was like, okay, things are definitely going up from here. So yeah, so then I think after the fashion show, that summer, the summer of 2023, I was working that summer, but then also getting ready for college. I had got accepted into NYU, so yeah, which currently going to school here as well. Um, so yeah, so I had that summer I was just working more on my crochet brand, and I was like working on other stuff. I had ended up making like these crochet crocs. Basically what I was doing was I was just like using like much more bigger yarn, and again like explaining with different types of yarn materials. I was like working with yarn that was a little bit thicker, and so I was just kind of like outlining the crocs, and like I had made those crocs, and I had sold those crocs on Depop. And I think it like had went to I think like a musician or a singer, and this is where I'm like, okay, I'm selling my stuff to like different people now, so it's just not like, you know, like not say like regular people, but it's like, okay, like I'm selling to people who like have a platform and stuff like that. So, and I remember she posted that and everything, but then I had crocheted a bag, and I had given that bag to a DJ, and she had posted it too, but she's also established as well, so she also has a platform too. So I'm like, okay, like again, like just different people buying my stuff and stuff with, you know, who has a platform, who doesn't have a platform, who does have a platform. Yeah, and then also getting into reviews on Depop as well, which also was very helpful at the same time. You know, a game changer. Like just, you know, even though it was just most of the time it was like really good reviews. Still, I just wanted to make sure like again like even though I'm getting good reviews, I just want to make sure like I yeah, you know. So yeah, so that summer again, like I was saying when I was on Depop, I think they show you like how much you make from the shop, and basically I had ended up making I think like $200. I was selling $200, not selling $200. I was making I think it was $200 because most of the stuff I was selling, like if I was making bags, the bags would be like $15, and then like when it came to hats, I think the hats were also $15 as well. So again, like just learning, managing on like prices and stuff, and I remember I think I was talking to somebody she was a receptionist at what is it, the job I was working at in DC, and it was like actually my first corporate job. So I was working a corporate job in DC, and I was working at a podcast for a podcast at the time. So I was like working at for the digital media and stuff like that and whatnot. And so I think I was talking to her, and I think I had mentioned to her like, oh, I have my own like crochet brand and stuff like that. And I remember she was like saying like, you know, like you should really like raise your prices and stuff like that. And I've gotten that many times before, especially to this day. People are telling me like I should raise my prices, and you know, because we were saying like it really depends on like how many hours I work on certain stuff. So yeah, but I had said like, you know, like I mean I'll try to, but she also said like she wanted her what is it? She also wanted to have, I guess, like support my brand at the same time, but also have her own stuff. So she, what is it? She asked for like a custom hat and then also a custom bag. So I was like, okay, like I can do that. So with the custom bag and hat, it was just basically like simple and whatnot. And I remember, I'm not sure, I think she gave me $100, and I was like, okay, like that was the biggest, I think like the biggest payment I ever had, like $100 for myself, and I was like, whoa. So I had gotten $100 um, from her, and I remember even I think one of my coworkers, she had like I think bought a top off of me. I had made a top, and I gave it to her, and she had bought it off of me too. So it was like again like I guess kind of telling different people again like hey like I do this and stuff like that. Sorry, my hair is it's in a curling rod right now, but one thing I also wanted to mention because I don't think I mentioned this in the video, I had actually made I don't know if you see my bio or it's somewhere in my bio how it says like known for like the bubble bags. Basically over the summertime I had made a crochet bag because I was gifted like large yarn for my birthday, and using that yarn, I was like, okay, like I wasn't too sure like how to use it, and I didn't have the right tools for it because I didn't have any like big hooks. Like all my hooks were like small and medium sized. So when I did buy a big hook, I just made a bag out of it, and then out of that bag, I also ended up like I had some extra yarn on the side too, but it was like yarn of like different materials and stuff. So I had like made like small circles, and like I had attached them to the bags, and basically I had ended up like posting it on my Depop. That gained so much attention. It was like I was getting a lot of likes, and I think that was the first post I ever made that was getting like a lot of likes. I think like it stopped at like I think like around like 60 likes, and then like it got to like I think somewhat 100. So it was like, okay, like maybe I should start making bubble bags like these, and those bags got the most attention. And yeah. So yeah. So and I even remember this one time I had brought a bunch of like crochet bags I had made to the job, and it was a chill job though, which is it was a really chill job, but like I had brought the like bags to the job, but like I did tell them beforehand, like I think the receptionist at the time, like I had told her like in advance, I was like, there's some things like I need to ship out, to a couple customers and stuff like that. And like I had went to I think like the nearest like UPS, not FedEx, but UPS, yeah, place, parcel place, yeah. So I had went, and yeah, and I was just like on my lunch break. I had went and like I had shipped out um, a couple of orders, and then came back and just did my work and stuff. So yeah, so it was just like being a businesswoman and then being a corporate woman at the same time. It just like it was an experience. So then now going into, of course, for school, coming to New York, um I had, like I said, started reaching out to different people because again I go to a very creative school. So it's like there's people who are like in different like fields and stuff. So like people in like film, people in like photography and stuff like that, especially photography. And this is also another good thing too, where it's like having photo shoots for your brand. So I remember before I did leave for New York, I did have a photo shoot. It was like one of my friends, she's a photographer, and um I was like, yeah, let's do this. At the time it was like an apartment complex, so it's like I wasn't too sure where to do the photo shoot, but I had ended up like buying like a couple of stuff. Like I had bought like a backdrop. I had bought like these LED lights that would change colors and stuff. So we were just experimenting at the time, and basically those bags I had crocheted, I also sold them on Depop at the same time too. But I was just like, I was like, okay, let's like a little promo, just like a little like promo, like a kind of thing. So I was like, okay, like let me just do a photo shoot with these bags, and then like can sell them on Depop. So when doing the photo shoot, that was like the first time I ever did a photo shoot, and it was like pretty cool. So it was just like kind of working around with the lights, and like my friends, like they were also the models for the photo shoot as well, which was really cool. So we had did that, and that was the first photo shoot I ever did for Tati's Thread. Now we're getting into Tati's Thread. Should have said that before, but now we're getting into Tati's Thread. So we're kind of getting established a little bit with the name. So that's when what is it? Now we're getting, like I said, getting into New York, and I think I had reached out to someone who was a photographer, no, who still is a photographer. I reached out to someone who is a photographer, and I was like, hey, like I have a crochet brand, and like I just want to do these little photos with the bag I was crocheting at the time, like like would it be cool? And so we did the photo shoot and stuff like that, which was really cool at like Washington Square Park, and then like other parts in the city as well. So, and this was like freshman year. So again, it was like just putting it out there, like like, hey, like I have a crochet brand and stuff like that. So yeah, so and then that's when I think I was like in this group chat, and I was like sharing like like my creations and stuff at the time, and like there was people like who wanted to also buy some of the bags that I was creating and stuff. So I had did that, and yeah, so like freshman year was pretty cool, and like that was like the fall time, so like a little bit the beginning. But then going into the springtime, what is it? There was so there's this thing called the program board at NYU, and basically they had was like, they were doing like this fashion show thing, because I had actually posted on my story one time. I had posted like it was like a little throwback to the first fashion show I did. So it was like a little throwback to the first fashion show I ever did in March, because I posted it in the month of March. I was like, it happened in March. I was like, yeah. So it was like making a correlation to that. And it was someone, I think, I think they were part of the program board, but they're also a fashion designer themselves. So basically, they had reached out to me, and they were like, hey, like, the program board is doing a fashion show. Like, would you be down to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I had applied and everything, and then like also like had some of my friends model for the show too. And so I had my second fashion show at NYU, which was very surreal too. So yeah, it was very surreal to like kind of bring Tati's Thread out of Maryland, and then now going into New York, and then having my second fashion show at NYU in New York City, which sounded crazy to me at the time, but anything you can take, I don't know, just like whatever you have, like if you really believe in it, like it can go anywhere. So basically, I had what is it? Had my second fashion show. It was a success as well, and I was actually able to like speak on like, I guess like how it started for me, and like what I created, and like who was modeling and whatnot. And so yeah, just shout out to everybody for that as well too. So that was my second fashion show. And then I think after that, it was like I don't know if I was doing anything else. I'm trying to think if I was doing anything else. But yeah, I will say again, like, just like I was beginning to really like build my brand starting from 2022, and then like also getting in 2023, and like that's where I think like everything peaked for Tati's Thread in 2023. So yeah, I was like making a lot of things. Yeah, but I think like after that fashion show, I think I stopped a little bit, because then like I was also like traveling abroad that summer, so I was like studying abroad and everything. So I had stopped a little bit, but then going back into the brand, um, I think I was continuing to sell stuff. I'm not too sure, but now getting into my third fashion show. And so I remember, I think one time I had bought like a bunch of like thick yarn, like a lot of thick yarn, and I wanted to make a crochet jacket for the first time. So making that jacket, of course, like you have to use like big yarn for that, but it was like a pretty easy process in doing it. I just like found a tutorial on TikTok, and like I just did it. And so I had made a jacket for the first time. And I remember, I think it was one of the members who had reached out to me from the African Student Association Club, and they had said that they were doing a fashion show. This happened this year, but it was just like in the springtime. So they had reached out to me, and they said like, hey, like they're doing like this like gala thing, like this like soiree thing, whatnot, and so they were gonna have a fashion show with it. Other than like other events like dancing and stuff like that. And so I was gonna be one of the fashion designers included. So I was like, okay, I'm down with it. And what's crazy was because like I wasn't anticipating on doing a fashion show, because it's like during that time, like before coming back to New York for sophomore year, I was like, I was burning myself out. So I was like, I don't want to do anything that's gonna put too much pressure on me. But I decided to do it anyways. And so another lesson too is just always to take breaks. It's okay to take breaks too, because running a business also can be very hard as well, also being a small business owner. But yeah, I ended up accepting it. And that's when like I had debuted my like crochet jackets. And this is the first time I had I think do because I have made tops for a fashion show. I made hats and bags, but then like this is the first time like I'm showing like what is it, like jackets. I'm like, okay, like this is something new I can definitely put in the show. So I had what is it, made like a bunch of like jackets and stuff like that, and a bunch of hats and bags for the models and stuff. And I always after a show, always sometimes I have the models like, you know, choose like I have the option to choose the stuff they want to keep, or to keep the stuff that they are wearing right now to keep it, you know, if they want it and stuff like that. So yeah, that third fashion show was really cool as well. And I was really happy about that too, doing my third fashion show. I'm not sure when my fourth one will come up, but the third one was pretty cool, so I was really happy about that. And yeah, I will say, when it came to my first fashion show, again back on the summer where I was like selling a lot of stuff, I had what is it, someone, I think I started selling the stuff from the fashion show, from the first fashion show, and actually somebody actually bought one of the bras that I had made. And I was like, oh, okay, like a little collection off the runway, you know, off the spring 2003 runway collection. And that was also very cool as well. So yeah, and again, just kind of working more on a little bit of promotion too as well. You know, started like getting edits also, you know, for the brand. I had asked an editor on Instagram, and it was actually an editor like I admired their edits first, and I was like, okay, like I definitely need her to like definitely edit this for me. And she's definitely helped me edit a lot of stuff for my other stuff. But for this brand, for tatisthread, I had asked her to make like a just a edit like a 3-year anniversary, because again I think it's been almost 3 years since I started my brand, kind of going to 4 years a little bit. So it's been 3 years since I started my brand, so I was like, let's do a 3-year anniversary, and it was just a collection of everything, and all that stuff. So yeah, yeah, so it's like, that's a tip. It's always good to like have, you know, collaborate with other people, and like people who can help you kind of expand your brand a little bit more. So if you need somebody to make edits, if you need someone to make like promos or like, you know, posters, stuff like that, like that would be really good to expand your business a little bit, you know. So it's like really just the matter of investing, but like what you invest in. So I was like, by the way, after I did my third fashion show, it was like a whole raffle thing. So I made an extra jacket for, I'm not sure who won, but whoever did win my jacket, I hope you like it. I never got to find out who did it, but also at the same time I got paid $100 for the fashion show too, like for the raffle. So that was really dope as well. So yeah, opportunities. When it comes to me and investing in a crochet brand, it's definitely first the materials. So it's like what kind of yarn you need to buy to make this, and when you make this thing, what attention are you making it for? Like, is it going to be out of selling, or is it out of be, it's going to be out of, you know, just keeping it to yourself? Because I had made, you know, things in the past just for me, but those are just like the type of questions. Yeah. And yeah, so basically, yeah, kind of back on the photo shoot thing. That summer when I was like studying abroad, um, what is it? I think it was like after the fashion show, I was also crocheting like these like little green bags. And at first, it was gonna be intended for somebody who was, you know, who wanted to model for them, but it didn't work out. So I was like, okay, like let's just have a photo shoot. And it was like one of my friends, and he has his own like photo shoot, like kind of collective, like brand and stuff. So I was like, let's just do this. You know, I had, and the fact that like the thing is like I was like conducting this whole thing out of the country, and like this was also like collaborating with like one of my closest friends too as well. So it was like she was back home, and then like I was like out of the country. I was in Spain during the time, so it was like we were still working together and seeing how this was gonna go, with me being out the country but still being present in the idea, still being present in the photo shoot and stuff like that. So when the photo shoot did happen, it was like really cool, and I think that was the second photo shoot I ever done. So doing that photo shoot, um, yeah, like it was a really nice one. The theme was like kind of like a fairy theme esque, kind of forest theme a little bit, and it was really nice. So yeah, and it was like, you know, it was also like friends who like always wanted to model and have the opportunity to model. So yeah, but the time where I was physically at a photo shoot was where then after coming back from studying abroad, then I had did a second photo shoot with the same photography with the same company, and we had ended up doing a photo shoot, and it was like gonna be like this Y2K theme, and it was like with these graffiti walls and stuff like that, and like that was also really cool as well. And I was just helping like doing this and that, and I was also I had crocheted a bunch of like stuffed animals, and it was like the first time I was getting into stuffed animals. I've had crochet stuffed animals before, like miniature like octopuses and like, but like I wouldn't sell them or anything. Like I posted like tutorials about it with the job I was working at, and then also at the same time I had made them like for gifts and stuff like that. So so we had did that, and I think that was the third photo shoot I ever done. I'm not sure I've done any other photo shoots. Again, like it's like when you do so many things, it's like you kind of forget, but it's just like I'm bringing up things I've done that are kind of coming up in my brain right now. But if there is anything else I haven't mentioned, I'll probably put it in the video somewhere. But yeah, so we did that, and that was pretty cool too. And yeah, it was good to actually be physically there for the photo shoot. With the second photo shoot, I wasn't there, but I was still present in the idea, kind of. But it was just like then being there physically, it was like okay, like yeah, like everything worked out and stuff like that. So it was like yeah, so like everything I pretty much did was pretty successful. But it was like again, like I said, there's always a lesson along the way too. So it was like yeah, um, I had did I think because transitioning from the summer into the fall time, because then I was also going to study abroad again. So um, I had done a fourth photo shoot. So it's actually, yeah, I've done a fourth photo shoot. And this photo shoot was going to be a Halloween themed photo shoot. And it was also another photographer located in Maryland. And, she went to my school and everything. And she's pretty cool. So also, like, anybody that I mentioned, I'll put their pages up here. So, um, yeah, so we did a photo shoot at her house, and it was going to be a theme photo shoot, like Halloween themed photo shoot. And this was also the first time I had like a makeup artist on the scene as well. So it was like so one of my friends that she was a makeup artist in the works, and she wanted to kind of have her what is it have something on her portfolio as well at the same time. So I was like, I'm down to like give you the opportunity to like do this for this photo shoot. And so we did it, and like I was kind of going with a kind of vampy little look and stuff like that. And my friend of mine, my closest friend, she was an angel. So because I had made different bags based off like mythical creatures and stuff, so it was like I had kind of like a vampire bag, I had like an angel bag, and then like I had like a mermaid bag. So yeah, so yeah, and that was a really nice photo shoot as well. And then like after that, that was just me kind of going to Berlin to study abroad for a little bit, and then coming back to New York for sophomore year this year. That's when I had did my third fashion show. I'm saying like I need a timeline so it doesn't sound too messed up, but yeah. Um yeah, and I feel like there's one more thing I should mention. It was in my head, but then like there's so many things to talk about when it comes to this brand. But that's kind of basically my journey with everything. I will say also another thing too, like when having your platform, other than having it on social media, also have it on like creating a website too as well, because I've created a website for the brand as well. And I think it should be here on my page. Like this, I have like a lot of highlights showing like oh like um bags, and stuff like that I've been seen on this person or seen on me and stuff like that. So it's like good having things like that. But yeah, I had created a website not too long ago, and then this website was just basically I had posted in my website about publications that where tatisthread has been featured on. And so um, for the fashion show that happened freshman year, that was featured on Washington Square News, which was like a student led kind of like a newspaper. So that was another thing too. And then I was also featured in someone's portfolio, so I did also kind of put that on my website as well. At least I'll like link everything in there. And so kind of going back into being a vendor. So I started to build up more of my selling experience when I had gotten the opportunity to sell my crochet designs at the National Gallery of Art Museum in DC, Washington, D.C. And so that's the first time I was ever going to do anything at a museum. I was like, whoa, like, I was like, okay, like, I'm excited about that. And it's going to be in front of the museum. So yeah, so it was the first time I was going to sell some stuff at a museum. And it was going to be outside, not inside, but it was just like still cool. So that's when is it? It was for like I think like the teen program. And so I was like 19 at the time, but it was for the teen program. And um, she said that like someone had recommended me. To this day, I don't know. I know who the girl's name is, but I just haven't met her. But like, thank you for putting my name in there, because it was like I never thought I would have an opportunity like that. So it happened. I think after the spring semester that ended, and I was just gonna come back home to Maryland, and so basically, um, yeah, I think I basically was just selling things that I have created in the past before, and like kind of new things as well too. So when being there, I was so nervous. I thought I wasn't gonna sell anything, but I had ended up selling a couple of things, and like I have made, I think, like a good amount of money as well from the event, and just learning how to be a vendor, just a seller as a whole, and just again, like I said, learning how to sell things in person other than selling things online. And like I learned a couple of things of like how to grab people's attention, how to like do this and that when you're selling something, when you're being a vendor, because like I don't know how people do it when they're like trying to sell you stuff, and just like you can't sit at the table at you can't sit at the table, like you have to get up and like at least communicate with people, talk to people and stuff like that, talk to you know you know yeah. So I remember one thing I will remember is when I had what is it? There was a girl, she had came up to the table, and like she was with her dad. And so I remember like I was just like showing her the stuff that I have created and stuff like that. And I remember like she had asked like, oh, do you have any stuffed animals? And I was like, I'm so glad I had. See, I feel like I do things unintentionally, and then it's like I never realized that it's like it's gonna be good in the long run. Thankfully, I have bought like stuff crochet things that I have made in the past, and like I sold those to her, and it was just like, yeah, and everything I was selling wasn't like too expensive. It was like around like $10 to like $20. So yeah, but like I said, I made a good amount of money from that event. And also another thing too, like I'm saying, like bring attention to people, bring attention to your brand and stuff. I had reached out to someone who is like a videographer. Yeah. And I reached out to her, and she was also located in the area too. So it was like really good. And she was basically recording me selling things. She was recording, the stuff that I created. She was just creating the whole, like, experience and stuff like that, which is really good because I wanted the whole experience to be documented and everything. So because it was like a real big moment for me. So, and it was like a really big moment also for my brand too. So yeah, so I had she had recorded everything, and it was like turned out really good too. And so again, thank you to her again, because again I also had given her I think like she had bought a bag off of me too that I was selling at the table. And like it was yeah. So I was really happy about that. And like I said, again, it's always good to have things documented. That's one thing I've also learned in like one of my classes as well, like freshman year. Someone had told us like always document the stuff that you're doing, because it's like you never know, somebody may ask like how was the process behind it, like how did you make this and stuff like that. So it's like something you don't always have to record everything, but it's just like when you feel like it's needed, it's necessary, like it's always good to document things. So yeah, so yeah, that's basically my crochet journey into having my own crochet brand. Hopefully some of the things I was saying maybe gave you like inspiration, maybe some advice. um Not too sure, but yeah. So thank you to whoever's watching, and maybe I'll talk about more videos on some other things. And yeah.